We got to talk about the game. Let's go. It's the #1 college football show. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Thank you for watching on the Fox Sports app, YouTube, or listening wherever you get your podcast. Today, I'm at the Fox Sports lot where we had an outstanding live tailgate event, and that's where we got to start today. Michigan crushing Ohio State. Final score is 45-23, and by the end of it, we were seeing shades of 45-27 in Ann Arbor. Going into this game, many of us believe that Ohio State was right to be a 7.5-point favorite. And why not? They had not lost at the shoe in a conference game since 2015. That's a 29-game winning streak for them. We're also talking about a Michigan team that had not beaten Ohio State in Columbus since 2000. And at the start, it looked like those jitters were getting to Michigan, as it was clear to us very early on that Blake Corum was not going to be able to go. He had come out with a very bulky knee brace on, and you could see his lateral movement, the thing that makes him elusive and quick, was not there for him. And my goodness, I was going, is Donovan Edwards going to play in this game? Is Donovan Edwards going to be a force? What is J.J. McCarthy going to do without his safety blanket in number 2 behind him? And both of the underclassmen stepped up in a tremendous way to get a monumental win for Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines in this. I think I cannot say enough about the job that Donovan Edwards has done, because I'm going to reference it probably for the next 2-3 weeks, because this was a star-making performance for him. I had wondered, when is Donovan Edwards going to be the explosive back that we saw a bit of earlier parts of this year, but also late last year? A guy that played quarterback in high school and won a state championship. When is he going to get his shot to be that guy 7.5 yards deep when Michigan needed him? And it came sooner rather than later. And what a time, because they're not deep at tailback behind Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. You got C.J. Stokes, who's still getting there. But they were deep at Ohio State, and I thought, if anybody could suffer injuries and fight back through that, it would be the Buckeyes. But here comes Donovan Edwards with 21 rushes for 216 yards with 2 TDs, had some really long plays, the kind of long plays that we saw Blake Corum make earlier in the year to seal the victory for Michigan down the stretch. But I can't say enough nice things about J.J. McCarthy and the way that he really grew up in front of us. At the start, it felt like the Ohio State front seven was getting to him. He was throwing the ball all over the yard, but not to his receivers. And then, like, right on time, we saw Cornelius Johnson make a big play for J.J. McCarthy. He beat his man in a one-on-one and 10 took it to the house. And it kind of went into rhythm for J.J. He found Cornelius Johnson again, who, until Donovan Edwards went off, we're asking the question, is Cornelius Johnson the best player in this game? And for the first time all year, it felt like the vertical passing attack that Josh Gaddis had given us a bit of last year with Cade McNamara, that Matt Weiss and Sharon Moore had not gone away from, but were a little ginger with their sophomore quarterback, had come into vogue. And really, the style is there, right? We saw it from Roman Wilson. We saw it from Donovan Edwards. You saw it from Cornelius Johnson. I'm looking around going, Ronnie Bell is even getting his in, and the Michigan defense continued to step up and make life difficult for C.J. Stroud. I understand that Stroud played a fantastic game in this one, and I thought that he was going to come away looking like a Heisman winner in it, but I think it speaks more to just how the Michigan defense was able to bend without breaking, and Jesse Minter did an outstanding job calling a great game. They didn't have Mike Morris available to them, and I think that was going to show, or I thought it was going to show in that front, and it did not. You saw what they were trying to do for to CJ, which is essentially, hey, make them beat us through the air. We're not going to let you run the ball with Mayan Williams. Even when Chip Trayanum came in there to give them a little bit of burst, it felt like Michigan was running downhill. Mike Sanders-Still also had an outstanding game. Really excited for what they have in store for the Big Ten championship game, for which they now qualify as the Big Ten East champion. Question is, how much is Ryan Day to blame for Ohio State's performance today? I'm not sure. You know, there's a bunch of really second guessing we could do, right? Going for 3 when it felt like perhaps you should go for a TD. It didn't look like getting field goals was going to be the kind of thing that allowed you to beat Michigan, but as they were still really having an opportunity to take the game over, Ohio State just kind of let Michigan hang around. And Michigan did a great job of hanging in there and hanging around. And then they got the game to come to them. And the longer the game went on, the more it fell into Jim Harbaugh's hands and away from Ryan Day, who wants to set tempo and pace and wanted to use the vertical passing game to try to get out in front. But Michigan is a second half football team and has been all year. They've outscored their opponents by over 100 points at this point going into their Big Ten championship game. And they finished strongly. I mean, I feel good for Jim Harbaugh, who gets to say he doubled up Ohio State back-to-back years. This is after 10 straight years losing this game to Ohio State. And frankly, we got to talk about Jim Harbaugh in the Coach of the Year conversation in a way that I didn't think we were gonna before this game started. I was intrigued to see how he was holding on to dear life at the end, trying to contain his joy. But to get that win in that hostile environment where it's a sea of red, I think the committee's going to smile on that win. At worst, they're going to be the number 2 team in the country, if not have an argument for the number 1 team in the country. Again, what will Michigan do on Tuesday? I don't know that they'll be at number 1, but they certainly got an argument, right? And that's the point here. You beat the number 2 team in the country who was also undefeated. For me, they now have the best win in college football. And that's me putting Georgia's win against Tennessee behind it because Georgia was at home, playing against Tennessee at home, having the home crowd. You hear what I'm saying about home here? Michigan went into Columbus, Ohio, into a place where they are hated, where they don't even say their name, and shut up the crowd, putting up 45 points on a team that was cut in half in its scoring, right? They averaged 46.5 points a game going into this game, Ohio State. They scored just 23 today. And Michigan did what Michigan does. We're going to run the ball. We're going to trust our offensive line to make those holes for our tailbacks. And we're going to trust our tailbacks to hit those holes and hit home runs for us. Outstanding win for Jim Harbaugh. Outstanding win for Michigan. They should feel good about handing Ohio State its worst loss in this rivalry in Columbus since 1976. My goodness. Next question you got to ask is, what does Ohio State do from here? Because they had said for 365 days, we'd just been trying to get back to this game. They were lathered up. They were pissed. They said that we were going to make Michigan hurt. Michigan took all of that, gave it back tenfold, and now we're back to having a rivalry. Now, if you're an Ohio State fan, you're saying, hey, we won this 10 years in a row. Can they win it 10 years in a row before we talk about it? Sure. But it stings today, and Michigan still has an opportunity to play in the college football playoff, if not play for a national championship. And Ohio State is really at the mercy of the committee. And we'll talk about what that means for them as we continue to go through tonight and into championship week next week. So